Panyaza Lesufi marked his government's first 100 days in office yesterday, reflecting on the progress made in healthcare and infrastructure. He also highlighted key challenges facing the province, like crime and the looming water crisis, outlining plans to mitigate the impact. Lesufi also emphasized the need to curb the rise of illicit spaza shops, pledging stricter enforcement of regulations. So let's get into the 100 days of the Government of Provincial Unity with Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi. Premier, good morning as always. Thank you very much for your time. Let's start with the pain points for Gauteng residents: water cuts, crime, potholes, hijacked buildings. You say you've made crime a top priority in these last 100 days. You've signed a cooperation agreement between the Police Ministry and the 3 metros in Gauteng. How will it work practically?
Thank you so much, Iman, and thanks for the opportunity to join our viewers. The cooperation agreement, I think, is a groundbreaking arrangement that we have been waiting for quite some time. What it means is that we are pooling all our resources regardless of the boundaries that we operate in. If there is a problem, for example, in a place called Jugulane in Tshwane, Ekurhuleni can't say our boundaries end in Ekurhuleni, or Johannesburg, GMPD can't say we operate only in Johannesburg, we can't go to Tshwane. If there is an urgent need for us to go and flush out criminals in Tshwane, we will all pool our resources from the national, which implements SAPS, province, which implements the provincial government and local government, including private security companies, so that we can protect the entire province and ensure that each and every citizen can feel our collective mass in combating crime and providing the necessary safety measures that are needed. This is groundbreaking in its own format, and we really believe that it can bring relief to the citizens of Gauteng.
Have you piloted this at all? I mean, I'm thinking, in my mind, I'm thinking television, and it works like a sort of relay. Either the cops would say, we're coming into Tshwane now, let's say JMPD going into Tshwane, phoning the TMPD saying, we're on, in pursuit of this or that, or the SAPS, across the metro boundaries. And they would talk to each other and play a sort of relay in terms of apprehending wanted criminals or whoever the person might be. Is that how it works?
Yes. In the last 6 weeks, Iman, we've been putting the technical teams in place because I've never worked like this before. So every Tuesday, every night, we meet as municipalities, national government, as well as provincial government, just to put the tactics right, because we need to be dictated by evidence. From crime statistics, we need to be dictated by evidence from the poor performing areas where we are receiving high crime registrations from our citizens. We need also to be dictated where businesses are suffering on the basis that either they are backlogged in or people are asking for funds that they call protection fees. So in the last 6 weeks, we have been crafting and allowing those that are experts in the field to determine how best can we do what we've just signed and agreed upon. So in the next few days or so, especially when we're preparing for the festive season, you will start to see this massive presence of law enforcement agencies in strategic areas that need our protection.
All right, so let's talk then about the framework for crime detection, prevention and enforcement. Prior to your 100 days, of course, we know about the 7,000 crime wardens that were deployed. They've been on a journey, Premier. They have full police powers. We know that there has been criticism of their training and preparedness. There have been reports, some reports of power abuses by them. But then there was training by the SANDF to make them duty ready. And I guess we want to check in now in terms of your broader operational plan. How many are still operational, and what successes can you report in terms of how they plug into this portfolio of crime prevention and management?
And thank you for that, Iman, because I think people are focusing on the negativity rather than the actual work that they need to do or they are doing. Iman, me and you may stay in areas where there are security guards literally every corner. But in the townships, majority of our people are unpoliced. If you go to ward-based areas where each and every ward, we never had the presence of a law enforcement agency or the presence of the police, you'll appreciate the intervention of the traffic wardens because they are there. They flushed out majority of drug lords, and these are people that were feeding our children with drugs. They are in the community, so they know who's selling drugs, and they can be in a position to intervene immediately. Our people could not move to taxi ranks or a train station in the morning because they were either marked or stopped or attacked they've managed to stop that. They are there in the morning, they're there in the evening when people are knocking off from work. And they've also targeted shops where people are stealing either steel or copper and taking it to these stores that are doing things illegally. They've managed to reduce 67% of those institutions so that we don't have vandalism of state facilities because people want to pawn them or people are taking them to people that are operating illegal institutions in our communities. And you've seen them in events as well. People were scared to go to events because either they're marked or their phones are taken or their car are buckled in. Their presence have stopped that. I mean, for the first time when we had the Springbok games here in Ellis Park, majority of people appreciated that they were safe and majority of people appreciated that their cars were not marked. So it's work in progress. People expect them to do high crime intervention of fighting cash heist or fighting robberies. They're not trained for that. They are trained for tasks that will protect our communities and where police are overstretched because they come as a multiplier force. Even when police are conducting roadblocks, they rely on our traffic wardens to ensure that there is law and order during those traffic. So we are continuing with them. We really believe that they brought a new angle in assisting us in fighting crime in our province.
You also shared that there have been some progress in regards to the improving of healthcare in the province, mentioned the refurbishment of Charlotte Maxeke Hospital. I think that's expected to come to completion soon. You'll tell us in a moment when that door opening ceremony is going to happen. But because of time constraints, Premier, I want to focus on the cancer treatment backlog in the province. The health department, at the same time as this backlog, has failed to spend over 500 million rand on urgent cases. So how do you reconcile the message that things are being speeded up, but then you've got the monies that are unspent and backlogs preventing people from getting treated?
Well, there are private hospitals that we've approached and they've agreed. We've just signed a service level agreement for their oncology services so that they can assist us to reduce the backlog. And we are quite convinced that after the signing of those service level agreements, the numbers will start to go down. But I must apologize on behalf of government that this particular matter was handled in a clumsy way. It should have been handled better because we can't risk with the lives of ordinary South Africans. But with this service level agreement and the expansion of oncology services in some of our hospitals, we'll start to see the numbers going down as speedily as possible. And I also want to thank those legal practitioners that have come on board to say they are prepared to work extra hours. They're also prepared to work over weekends so that we can push the numbers. So in no distant future, Iman, you will see the numbers starting to go down rapidly.
When do you think the backlog will be completely resolved by?
We want to do that by the end of December this year to ensure that we don't have that backlog. The numbers are going down at a very high rate, but unfortunately, we are managing people's lives here. So if people are not being treated as we speak, they will not believe our intervention. So that is why we appreciate those health workers that have agreed to go an extra mile so that they can even work extra hours and also work over the weekends.
You've just shared an apology with all those who are directly affected, Premier, and I think that can be appreciated, along with the guarantee you've just given that these backlogs would be resolved by December. But you said, people had managed it in a clumsy way, and I guess, most residents would say, well, who are these clumsy people? Who are these people that manage it in a clumsy way? And hopefully they're not in charge of managing things going forward.
My view is, Iman, when you stop things because there is a legal case or if people threaten to take you to court, you then put everything on hold. To me, it's clumsiness because you could confront the people that have grievances and they have genuine grievances and find a win-win situation because court matters by their own definition. They take time. And if you think you can battle in court with the lives of our people when we're supposed to be in theater room to resolve the crisis, I really believe it's clumsy. And that is why I said to the team, you don't have to feel comfortable filling court papers and paying legal people when we can be in a position to confront the people that are disgruntled and say, what is the best way of resolving this matter? And that's the area that I'm talking about.
Yeah. I want to leave it on the note of what's happening politically in the province. I know we can have a huge discussion about the terminology and whether what's happening at provincial level will have an impact on what's happening in the government of national unity and so on. So let's just keep it very simple and keep it related to Gauteng. We've all been seeing developments relating to Kabelo Gwamanda. I know that Dada Marero, the mayor, is going to give some feedback, I think, towards the end of the week on what's next. He's now been placed on suspension. He's been arrested. He handed himself over to police. I guess as the Premier of the province, who essentially is, the final authority for the province, what are your thoughts in this moment on how this has developed, especially when citizens are told arrest warrants were issued as late as May this year, and that they were the results of a Financial Services Conduct Authority report that made some findings about these alleged dodgy dealings, from September in 2023. We want to know why nothing was done about this sooner and why he's suspended.
I had 2 sessions with the Executive Mayor of Johannesburg, Councillor Dada Marero. I think they were very fruitful. What is very important is that in everything we do, we need to consult the political party that we are in partnership or in coalition with, and we are preparing and finalizing those consultations. And that's the reason why the Executive Mayor will make an announcement later this week. The situation, we really believe, needs to be managed better. And we need to really deal with this matter in a manner that will bring confidence in our resolve to fight corruption, in our resolve to ensure that we run a government that is sensitive to the needs of our people.
So did it blindside you, Premier? Did this whole thing blindside you?
Come again? I missed that part, Iman, sorry.
Did this whole thing blindside you?
Not necessarily. As I said, and I want to emphasize that particular point, when you enter into an agreement with a political party, it's sometimes extremely difficult to run some of the vetting processes that we do in the African National Congress, because this person is not a member. So you rely on available information. And because the case was not laid by the time we did some of these processes that we normally embark on. And we did that with the first person that Al-Jamaa gave us. But when Al-Jamaa changed the leadership, unfortunately, it was within short notice that we couldn't execute that mandate. But we learned from these things, and I think we've strengthened our systems. That is why even in Swane, where we are running government with Action SA, we managed to ensure that the basics are in place before that cabinet will be announced.
Yeah. I'd like to push you further on this one, Premier, but we're out of time, so we leave it there. Thank you very much for making yours available to us this morning.